Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scott Hagnes. This is the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. Scott, how goes it?
It goes pretty good.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Weather's milding out for you, right?
Yeah, not too bad. Finally finding some spring. Some plants starting to bloom, some still looking pretty dead, but it's been nicer.
That's not bad. We're actually unseasonably cool right now. And by unseasonably cool, either it's ungodly hot or just uncomfortably hot here. And then some sprinkled cold fronts in that now and then. But it was a very timely time for this to be mild as we went into the last week of the CrossFit Open. And we had quite a doozy, Scott. Obviously, you and I both pretty much figured it would be thrusters and pull-ups, but we didn't quite nail it in terms of how they would be going about it. Scott, it was 30.
Our ascending weight plan didn't come to fruition.
Pan out, but I'll tell you what, this was probably one of the worst workouts, just in terms of volume, that I've seen for an open workout.
It was pretty gnarly. Yeah.
Pretty gnarly.
The only thing that was, I thought in a similar vein was, I think it was 14.5, and it was a repeat, or maybe it was repeated in 2016, I want to say.
Yep.
16.5 as well, with the burpees and the thrusters.
Oh. That's terrible. I have nightmares of that one.
Me too. That was,
But
the first time it came around was the worst workout I'd ever done.
But just the number of chest to bar pull-ups is the one that, it kind of separates this workout from an open workout to almost a regional style workout.
Yeah, exactly. With it not being an unlock, because we did see some pretty incredible volume on some of the unlock Frans, but there's very few people actually seeing that actual volume.
Very good point.
Whereas here, everyone is getting a pretty good dose unless you're just really unable to do one or the other of the movements very well.
Yeah, which is why I actually prefer those unlock workouts, because the only way you're going to get hurt is if you are talented. And obviously if you're talented within the sport, you can kind of tolerate that stuff. But that being said, also the other side about doing the unlocks is that, it might be a 4-minute workout for you.
Right. Yeah. Some people don't get a whole lot. But
so just to fill everybody in, the workout was 33 thrusters, 33 chest to bar pull-ups, 27 thrusters, 27 chest to bar pull-ups. Oh, wait, there's more. 21, 15, 9 thrusters, chest to bar pull-ups. So it was 105 thrusters and 105 chest to bar pull-ups. So, Scott, when you first heard this announcement, what was your gut reaction?
Ugh. And my labrum hurt just thinking about it, but yikes. Yeah, I was like, oh man. And then with the 20, at least it wasn't 4 time. They actually mercifully put a cap on it.
Good point.
But man, I never thought I'd think, all right, only Fran to go now. Like the 21 rounds.
You've done 60 reps already and you're like, oh, now we have Fran left. It puts things into a different frame of mind.
Yes. What was your initial reaction?
That I knew everyone would freak out over this.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, so I did mention that it was a regional style workout. So you've seen regionals before where they have the hundreds workouts.
Yep.
100 chest to bar pull-ups, 100 lunges, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely like that they pulled some regional style work into the open. Because I don't think that there's going to be any outliers crushing this workout. I think there's such a metabolic demand on this one. Even if you're really, really good at chest to bar, you still got to get through 105 thrusters. So unless you really have the goods, there's no way that you're just going to kind of like snake your way into this workout.
No. Yeah. There's nowhere to hide in this one.
Yeah. So breaking it up right from the beginning. Being super conservative on it. That's what was my thought, unless you're in the upper echelon of athletes who can probably do these in 3 sets, maybe 4 sets each, depending on how you wanted to break it up. And then as the later part of the workout went on, doing smaller and smaller number of sets. So I think I watched Mike McGoldrick and Brandy McGoldrick do it the day that I did it on Friday. But leading up into that, I really didn't know what to kind of do. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be super conservative on this one. And just because I know that smaller sets of chest to bar are less metabolically demanding for me. I've done workouts like the open workout, overhead squat, chest to bar pull up, where it was that ascending ladder where you had to unlock. So I knew
every
like
3, yeah.
Yep. So was it rounds of 15 or was it smaller?
What did it start? I thought it was 2 rounds of 10 and 10, and then it went maybe.
Yes.
I can't remember if it went 12, 12, 15, 15 but yeah, it grew by. It was always 2 rounds, but they each.
Yep, I think it grew by like 3 reps, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
so maybe
9s,
it started
12s,
9 and 9.
15s,
Yeah, it's probably
18s,
9s.
21s, 24s,
I bet that was
cetera,
it. Yeah.
right? And then eventually it finally catches you. But so I knew that, and in going in, I was like, the thrusters, that's where the trap is, because obviously 95 pounds, you could definitely do sets of 10, no problem. But that is going to fatigue you going into the chest to bar. So when you put down that bar, you got to know that you're going right into those chest to bars. So I felt that doing smaller sets on the thrusters, I was thinking 5s right from the beginning. For me personally, others were doing sets of 7, and I'm like, a 7 reps, that already starts to get my heart rate up based upon where I am in my terms of my fitness. So I'm like, I'm just going to kind of game this as best as I can for what I have, and just whatever it is what I got, right? And try to keep it as I say, like 2K, 3K row-ish as much as I can. You know what I mean? Keeping that power output just similar the entire time, and finding the breathing patterns and finding the specific times to just take a second rest and get going again. So Myra did it in the morning, and she ended up getting a 12:03. And I thought 10 minutes was attainable on this. I was like, holy shit, this is not going to be a 10-minute workout. Like when I saw Fraser did 6:53, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll add about 3 or 4 minutes, somewhere around the 10-minute mark. Let's go there. And then I started realizing that, wait a second, that's 3 minutes faster than like the elites are going to be doing. So, a recalibration, I guess. I was trying to go somewhere around that 12-minute mark. But Scott, what do you think? How do you think I did on this one?
I think it took longer than that. I don't know. 16?
12:30.
Whoa. Man.
So the secret, sets of 3 on the chest to bar.
Okay.
3 on the chest to bars, all the way through. 5s on the thrusters until I got to the round of 9, and then when I'm broken on the thrusters and unbroken on the pull-ups.
Wow.
I might have actually done 5, 5, and 5 on the round of 15 on the pull-ups. And I had like a kick. I actually had a kick at the end of the workout.
Well, that's
ideal. With about 90 seconds left, and I just kind of laid it down and played it very, very calm, very cool the entire time, and 12:31 on the button, and felt good. Like, wasn't too crushed behind that workout. And I was like, I wonder if this can be something that I can do more regularly in terms of like not really checking my ego at the door and just giving or taking what the workout has for me and trying to keep it as consistent as possible and continue to do work.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is pretty, given, you wouldn't expect, given what you've been doing for training, and,
Yep,
it shows the power of, a good strategy and a recovered system.
Yeah, that's a good point, is that like, and the fact that I'm not, like, I felt great going into the workout. I got a good, decent night's sleep. I worked in the morning, but I came home, took a nap, had some food, and did the workout at like 6:30 or something like that in the evening. But I think the lack of stress surrounding the competition and competing, I think that is our biggest drain of energy, is that anxiety that goes around the attachment to the outcome. And this entire Open, my attachment to the outcome has completely plummeted. As of right now, I know these things are going to change as soon as everybody puts their score in, because I know everybody's trying to go to the CrossFit Games. But I think in 2017, I was just browsing through some scores. In 2017, where I think I was kind of relatively still competitive. I know I think I was doing Wadapalooza at that point. etc. And I was still doing some training. 2,530th place in the world. Last year in 2018, 1,997. So about 530 places better. And right now, I am sitting in like 1,100th place worldwide.
Man. Well, that's the secret. Don't worry about it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the secret to actually performing well is not attaching who you are to your performance. But the funny thing is even with that score, even with, I'll probably end up, somewhere around the 2000th place. Let's be realistic. There's a lot of people who are going to be putting in scores. So right now I'm in 1,230th place worldwide. My first score, that row workout with 8 rounds plus a wall ball shot, 14,444th place. And then the second workout, 6,222nd place. So not so good.
Went uphill from there.
Yeah, and then I finished 651st on the handstand push-up workout, and then I think 4,000th on the what was last week?
Oh, the
muscle up one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the burpee muscle up one, which again, that's just not going to happen right now. And I should do okay on this next one.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the top, 3,000th in the world or something like that. But yeah, overall, not too displeased about the way that looks, but I mean, I couldn't care less. It's just something, cool to look at and see where I am relative to the world, and know that even though I'm kind of just doing some classes and just focusing on specific posture and breathing stuff, that I can still be in the top 99th percentile, 98th percentile when it comes to being fit in this sport.
Yeah. That's pretty
Something
sweet.
to say about doing this thing for 10 years now, Scott.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. That's the thing. Put in the time, and that's what it takes with anything. Yeah, you see. Yeah.
And the other nice thing is that my back didn't blow up on the workout. Shoulders felt pretty good. Like there's nothing residual where I'm just like, my biceps tendons are blowing up or my hips are killing me. That felt great. Like no real problems. I recovered, 2 or 3 minutes after and was good to go, and wasn't just outside puking or anything like that.
Right.
It felt like as I went through the finish line, I'm like, that's exactly how it should have been paced.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't spill over early.
Yeah. That sounds perfect.
Yeah. Anybody do it in your gym then, Scott?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a, our little crew that enters here.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good stuff. My master's athlete probably did the best overall, like 60 plus guy.
Great.
He's had some shoulder issues and really didn't know if he'd even get through the 33 pull-ups just due to some problems that we've been trying to avoid until after the opens.
Yep.
And he actually got all the way through, almost finished the 21 round.
Oh, nice.
So so that was for him. He was super stoked and no pain. Like I just saw him just last hour, so he did it Friday. Great. And so it's like, yeah, didn't bother me at all. I actually feel fine.
Wow, that's cool. Did you find in the last few workouts, Scott, you were pretty excited maybe to give these a try? Were you thinking at all of giving this one a try?
No, I was immediately like, hell no, this is not happening. Yeah, well, given my shoulder issue from a few years ago, that is still not completely better. I wouldn't be doing pull-ups. If I was going to do a version of it, I would have to come up with some sort of body row substitution or something if I was going to do it. But yeah, I haven't trained for anything quite like that, so definitely don't want to put myself through the volume of that out of the blue.
And honestly, there were a lot of my athletes who were just like, I kind of just don't want to do this. It just seems like too much volume. And I was like, do what you want. I understand if you don't want to do it, but I'm like, maybe this is an opportunity for you to just practice something and not worry about what the outcome is going to be. And I think that's something that, especially during the Open, everybody has, whether they explicitly say it or not, this enormous attachment to the outcome of their workout.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there is a part of me that, having competed for a number of years, I would like to give it a try. And I know so much more about how to run with my engine and pace, but I would need to make it anything worth doing. I think I would need to be a little bit trained for it now.
Yeah. It'd be, we don't want to put yourself in danger while doing it. And the other thing I thought of was like a lot of the people do the workout twice. So I'm doing them one and done and still finishing fairly good as well. So put a little feather in my bald head.
Right. Yeah. Right. You're not getting another kick in the score from having done it on day 2,
Absolutely.
Monday or whatever.
Yeah. But I think overall, I think that also kind of lets everything be less stressful in general.
Right. Yeah. If you had done all 4 prior twice, would you have had that much of a kick or capacity to go on this one? And I would tend to guess possibly not. So you might have gotten a little better placing on some of the earlier ones because you would have improved your score most likely, but then maybe this one would have been, not as good as it ended up being.
Agreed. So from week to week, Scott, we have been breaking down each of these workouts into its components and then pulling it out 6 months and seeing how we would train an athlete for these particular tests. We've done it over the last 4 weeks, and we're going to finish it up this week with this workout. So what are your initial thoughts and initial assessments that you might look at in terms of an athlete who has to do 105 thrusters and 105 chest-to-bar pull-ups for time?
Yeah, well, seeing what both those movements look like, of course, and if we have identified any limitations, skill-based or mobility-based or whatever, then early on we're going to have to look at addressing those. Assuming that we have some pretty good competency at both of those 2 things, then you need a large base of aerobic power to recover, but we need a lot of touches on volume and probably some sort of a density approach would probably be my way of building toward an effort like this. But not looking at, I wouldn't train like working toward being able to do big sets of thrusters necessarily. So, just reinforcing a good sound approach, what sounds like very similar to what you did, where we can do sets of 5 or 4 or 6 or, whatever, but off very short rest between and build a capacity to do a large amount of work in that manner probably be the best.
I agree. And go ahead, Scott.
I was saying, and unless you're looking at someone that's, truly at the highest level, then it's going to have to be larger sets, but still fractioned up. Basically the same, just the sets would be a little bit larger.
Agreed. And it's interesting how much time you think you would save by doing this type of work in larger sets. But I think the speed of contractions and the amount of rest time that gets longer later in the workout, I think that's where the earlier rests probably pay dividends. It's like putting those pennies in the piggy bank, and then toward the end of the workout where you need that kick, you might have that then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's interesting because I think it was the round of 15 I actually found the ability, once I got overhead, that's where I took my breath in. So I'd press out and then feel that nice fresh air come in on each and every breath there. So my respiratory rate was probably like, 30 per minute, just because now I'm getting that. And then like little breaths that are shallower, maybe toward the bottom of the squat. But that was the time where I can actually get some air in and draw some air in and kind of feel a little bit more recovered. And it was actually something that I was thinking about with Matt Fraser, being able to do this in a 653, is obviously he broke it up. But like when he broke it up, he literally dropped the bar. He kind of took a couple breaths and then grabbed the bar and just continued to do work. Like there was such little time off the bar, one way or the other, whether it's chest to bars or it's thrusters. And it gives me like an idea of like what his like metabolic output kind of is. So like if you imagine like his output is going bigger and bigger and bigger and his lactate is starting to build, it's almost like he knows intrinsically when he needs to put the bar down and take 3 breaths to level off that climb. It's not that it plummets back down and now he's feeling good again. It's just like, oh, I'm starting to feel shitty. And then he's like, okay, 2 breaths. And then it'll just hold there. And then it'll start to climb again, up 2 breaths, and it'll drop off a little bit. So, like, if a 10 is him spilling over, he's very good at getting it to an 8 and then knowing what that 9 is feeling like, back it off a little bit, and then holding at that 8 and 9, that threshold, the entire time, but able to also continue to put out an amazing amount of output as he's doing that.
Right. Yeah. Knowing where that line is and knowing how to flirt just underneath it and not really spill over. Yeah. Probably incredible natural ability, but also a lot of dedicated and mindful training toward knowing where that is and how to get there, stay there, not go over it.
Yep, definitely. And obviously he's done hundreds and hundreds of different types of workouts to understand where he can go, how he can get there, and what he needs to do to keep it where it needs to be. And I think maybe that's something to learn, especially when we're in more of pre-testing / competition times, that we need to do that, but have an intention behind the training, not to max out, but to kind of figure that out.
Right. Yes, with that being kind of the goal necessary. You know, find and hold and learn. And the longer you're in the game, you know, I have to imagine by this point he has done so many various combinations of workouts and training and competition that he's probably not getting surprised too much.
Yep.
And it takes a number of years, right? Because you'll get blindsided by, I never realized that, you know, X and Y together create this, you know, problem in pacing and sustainability.
Yeah, and going back to how we kind of train this, chest to bar capacity is something that we definitely need to look at, and the basic gymnastic skill. So maybe, you know, that's 6 months out, we do something like we said before, you know, the 20 sets of 5 chest to bar pull-ups, or maybe in this case 40, what is it? Wait, no, 20 sets of 5 is 100, right?
100.
Yeah, so maybe doing the 20 sets of 5 for time, unbroken.
Yeah, that'd be a good assessment for sure. Yep.
That would be a nice little, obviously, because in a workout like this, you may not need to do any more than 5 in a set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, you know, train that under fatigue possibly, because, you know, obviously it's never going to be that in isolation, but, you know, keeping it very simplistic and then creating it more dynamically over and over, and just thinking about it, how you would want to do that is, like, instead of maybe doing, like, let's say a 200-meter row and then 20 reps broken up into 5s, maybe actually doing it like 5 burpees, 5 chest to bar pull-ups, like for 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And being able to find what that little red line feels like and being able to stay right underneath it, and then maybe growing the complexity paired or coupled with, or the power output coupled with the chest to bar pull-up. Because we know that you're never going to be doing chest to bar pull-ups where you're just doing like walking lunges. Maybe in the beginning you can practice that just to kind of get your heart rate up a little bit, but eventually it's going to be like, okay, you're doing power snatches and chest to bar pull-ups, where the complexity of it becomes very high, the interference becomes very high, and now you've got to be able to manage all of those things while, oh, by the way, your heart rate's 175.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I think that's a great progression, building the complexity and the power output. So start simple and sustainable and build. After a kind of initial phase, probably just building capacity in the movement itself if needed. Then just exactly like what you said.
Yeah, and definitely I think on this one especially, working on some monocyclical aerobic power is something that you definitely need to get into on something like this, because I think we can get a lot of interference, or maybe build up some energy system pathways that might be okay for that 2 to 3 minutes. So like, say you were doing chest to bars and thrusters as an AMRAP or something like that, I think that could be very easily brought into an anaerobic, or too far on the anaerobic spectrum, that when we build that out into something like 9 to 12 minutes, all of a sudden that becomes something that becomes really, really, really painful.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. There's I think some of the things that maybe we would have done in the past, like trying to build, you know, lactate training, basically doing big sets of that, is not necessarily the right way. It's almost training yourself to redline. You know, if the task was, going to be best achieved by, a couple quick, hard, unbroken sets and done, then okay, yes, but that's not what's being tested here at this point.
Agreed. So, kind of wrapping this whole thing up, Scott, in terms of a, off-season progression, we look at a lot of different principles here of not only movement quality and finding out what limitations there are in all of the workouts that we've done, but then also making these workouts sustainable. And I think that's something that anyone can take home if they're a coach or an athlete who listens to this. And there wasn't too much strength talk.
No, not really.
The only one that was necessarily like a strength workout that maybe required you to have some serious exposure to increasing your absolute strength was the squat clean workout.
Yeah, 19.2. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, in most
what are your
cases,
thoughts, Scott?
Well, in most cases, stronger is helpful, but that's not really the main thing here. Yes, you want to be strong enough that a 95-pound thruster doesn't really require you to fully brace, and breathe through the movement will be much more efficient. But once you have that box checked, I don't think another 50 pounds on your front squat is going to make it any better. Just as an example.
Yep.
So building sustainability and making the movements as aerobic and as efficient as possible is probably the best route to success once you have your kind of base of strength for the sport.
What are your thoughts on what are your thoughts about what the open testing was this year? Because now we don't have a regional, so we were kind of wondering what the tests would look like, and now we kind of see what they are. There was no max effort.
No, it really, it didn't end up looking too much different than opens of prior, honestly. Pretty much the same. We didn't see a new level of complexity. We really didn't get any odd curveballs this year as far as movements or implements or things we hadn't seen. The only thing that was even a little bit different was the enforced 3-minute rest between too many workouts is really about the only thing. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So the sanctionals for the other types of tests, more max strength,
yes,
more complex and such.
Mm-hmm. And one of former games athlete, Dakota Rager, is 400th in the world right now because of that squat clean workout. His max clean is 305. So he ain't coming close in the open to getting to the games. The only way that he's going to be able to get to the games is a sanctioned event. But it just shows that testing overall strength in the open has a lot more weight than testing it at regionals, because he would have gotten through on one bad workout, no worries, he can kill everything else, and then that's fine. But in the open, you have one bad workout, it's all over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can't really recover from that in the same.
Yeah, when you have 200,000 people in a workout going for you, it's very challenging rather than having 40 men against you, 39 men against you.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the folks that get in through the open, without having that second layer of regionals to kind of pare the field down. But I guess that's what the opening rounds of the games will probably serve a purpose of a little bit.
Yep.
From what we know.
And it'll be very interesting to see who has made it and how the dust settles and where we go from here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, conspicuous absences we have, folks that have been there a number of times before that either weren't able to get in through the opens or through sanctioned events, and what that ends up looking like.
Very interesting, and only time will tell. Scott, you got anything else for today, buddy?
No. I guess we'll have a new direction next week.
Absolutely.
Moving on into the spring.
Yeah, man. Now we get into the spring. We'll see where this will take us. But, guys, if you're listening to this podcast right now, we appreciate it. Please consider subscribing, rate, and review. That helps us grow the podcast. If you want to get a hold of you, Scott, how can we get a hold of you?
I'm Scott Hagnes, Scott at CrossFitPortland.com.
And I'm Sean LaFlock, and you get me at Sean at CrossFitDelrayBeach.com. Guys, we'll talk to you next week. Scotty, later, buddy.
Later.